In case you missed part 1, here's what we got up to. I hope this is what I think it is. I always get nervous opening boxes because I get so excited that I generally cut whatever's in it open. Oh my gosh. I am so happy right now. I could have a cry. That is going to look amazing! How hot's that?
Is that a picture of Rosa or something on the side, or is it just white?
It's just white.
Oh, right.
You're not loving it, are you? Do you like it?
Yeah.
Nice response.
That's great. It reminds me of what I use for wiping sometimes, right?
Reminds you of
Do you know what height you want these are?
Yeah, that's why I'm here today, so we can work it out. I'm not going anywhere. Is that cool?
Yeah.
I'm using quite a bit of lighting in this place. We have a feature pendant, which is exactly for what the name suggests. It's as a feature. And then I'm popping in some more feature lighting that's doubling as task lighting. Above the reading nooks, either side of the fireplace, I'm installing wall sconces. This not only illuminates the beautiful slab tiles, but it also provides reading light for anyone who might want to nestle into that nook. I'm super excited about my decision to put in a real wood fire again, but it has taken some thought from the team about how to actually make it happen in this really old and decaying fireplace. To give it a place to rest, be secure, and be safe, we've had to create a fire retardant surface for it to sit on, which was naturally concrete, and an FC sheeting frame around the front. This has allowed the Kalara fireplace to slide into it, and now all I need is for Regan to trim it up with some beautiful materials from Intrim. I'll get some paint onto it, and our masterpiece will nearly be complete. This living room has a limited amount of floor space, but it does have a lot of height. So when you're struggling for storage in a place and you have high ceilings, always look at what you can do with your vertical surfaces. In this case, I'm looking to install some bookshelves above the seated nooks either side of the fireplace. Now, to make that happen, it was really important that I talked to Josh and the team at Ferris Building about exactly what I wanted before we got the sheets on the walls. This meant that I can now have these beautiful timber shelves appearing like they're floating above the seats whilst being able to expose the gorgeous slab tiles in the back of the shelves at the same time. Hey Ferris!
Hey Fiddle, how are you going?
I'm excited.
Why is that?
Look! Well, we can't open them, can we? So do you think it was the worst room we've had?
Oh, by far.
Really?
By far, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that front room with all the moisture damage and the termite damage was pretty bad. But this was gross.
Well,
but,
I think it's halfway to not gross.
Well, I think it's pretty good.
It has a long way to go.
In building world,
it's pretty good.
We're done. We've got to get the painters in to make it look the colours you want it to look. And then you've got to wave your magical fashion wand?
Absolutely. There's a pile of work here. I've still got another 2 weeks.
Good luck with that one.
I know. Into room 4 for you guys.
Yes, room 4. Next stage.
Thanks, Fez.
Happy Friday.
Just like in every single room, for me, there needs to be a jumping off point. There needs to be a point where my inspiration is at maximum and everything else falls around that. So if I'm working for a client, often that's something that's special to them, or a color or a fabric or a memory or a piece of art that's special to them. For me, in this living room space, the part that is the focus, the part that is the hero, are the large format tiles from Beaumont Tiles. So literally everything has formed around that. Now they are large format, so I can't drag them in here to show you, but what I have done out in the backyard where they've stored is I took all of the wallpaper samples that I've been considering in that space out to where the tiles are and try to mimic the light that's going to be in that room, because light completely changes how our eye receives the data. And I've come up with this gorgeous grass cloth wallpaper that I'm going to be teaming up with 2 different tiles in the living room. I know, madness, right? 2 sets of tiles in the living room and this beautiful grass cloth wallpaper. Naturally though, there's paint involved. There is always paint involved when it comes to me. And so I'm going to be using this as the palette that I pull my paint colors from. I don't want to be heading too much into the warm scale. I like to stay quite on the fence when it comes to my blue grays or my warm browns. I like to stay really neutral with my neutrals if I'm going to go there. I know it's quite a shock compared to the front 2 rooms. However, I'm completely on board with the fact that I can still get the wow that I want and have a neutral palette. It's a challenge, but it's totally doable. In this space, I'm wanting to add yet another layer of texture. And as you saw earlier, I've chosen an absolutely beautiful grass cloth wallpaper. Now in this instance, I'm going to be placing that between the skirting board and the chair rail. It's really hard wearing, really forgiving, easy to clean, and it also adds that extra level of indulgence. ready. Do you want to come and check it out? Welcome to the living room at Carrington House. It is finally done and I have to claim it right now, hardest room to date, without doubt. This room has been such a challenge. I mean, we had a swamp under the floor, we had a fireplace that was leaning, a mantle that was falling over, walls that were falling apart, and we had the challenges of bringing in the big doors that everybody is talking about. So to bring this together, I needed a really strong team. And to be honest with you, it was a huge challenge in that there were times that our team had to come back and forth, because especially the fireplace wall, it was such a team effort. Intricate detail with the plasterers, with the builders, with the lecos, with the painters, with the tilers, you name it, everyone had a hand in there. The finishes in here are much more neutral than in room 1 or room 2, if you've seen that. I've definitely brought some of the blues into here so that they all talk to one another. However, this room is all about layers. I mean, we have the Durfloor vinyl planks that are so textured, and then we have the beautiful in-trim trims. So in this room, we have the skirts and the chair rails and the picture rails. And then to give that real warm detail at a low level, I've got grass cloth wallpaper, which I picked up from my local Bristol store. I have so many favorite things in this room actually. Everything from the beautiful white Tribeca tiles, which adorn the chimney. And let's face it, between the sealer and the render underneath those tiles and then the tiles around the chimney, it's actually holding it together. And then it's flanked by unbelievably large format slab tiles from Beaumont Tiles. They're a white onyx and they're in a gloss. And for me, this isn't only about creating a beautiful, I guess kind of like, I don't know, it's like soldiers or it's like guardians either side of the fireplace. It's also unbelievably practical. It means no matter who sits at that bench seat either side of the fireplace, I don't have to worry about oil from their hair, makeup, dirty hands. It is going to be so hard wearing and magnificent to look at. Next favorite thing, without doubt, has to be the giant doors. There's a little bit of a double edge with the giant doors because one, I just love the scale that it plays with. I love the fact that the room's quite small. It's actually a traditional old-fashioned 1880s living room size, nowhere near as big as our current living room sizes. So I've played with the scale by making these absolutely huge doors. Between the huge doors and the massive pendant light, it's a great example of playing with scale in space. A small space doesn't mean that everything has to be tiny. My next favorite thing, I've talked about all things that are actually fixed in this room, but in this space, I have 2 non-fixed favorite things actually. I've got a lot of favorite things. I adore these lounges. One of the challenges that we often have when we're furnishing older homes is that real juxtaposition where a lot of the furniture that is available on the market is either too oldie-worldy and not practical, or it's too modern and just looks simply silly in a really old home. Well, I have lucked up. I got these from Brosa. So you can order them online, which is so convenient, and they deliver to your door. But the thing that I love about these lounges, so I got a Diana 3-seater and 2 Diana armchairs in a contrasting colour. The thing I love is the level of detail. I love the studding on them. I love the textured linen, which is going to be so forgiving when it comes to marks and scuffs. And I adore the fact that there's a nod to yesteryear, yet they're super comfy and they fit in with this traditional home perfectly. And the last movable thing that is one of my favourites, without doubt, is this fabric. So this is fabric custom designed by me from a William Morris original, who, if you haven't checked him out, he is amazing. So I designed up this fabric, had it printed, and got some cushions made from it, which there's just, it's really lovely when you have a space to have a touch of history or a touch of you. It's beautiful to be able to include you and the things you love in a space. 3 biggest challenges without doubt: the swamp, the floor and walls, and the fireplace, without doubt. Huge shout out to my team that worked on the fireplace with me. So we have Ferris Building, Newey Painting Crew, Hunter Lining Projects, and Pachira Tiling. Check them out. They were all so considerate of one another working on this. And the icing on the cake in this room is that I've actually been able to reinstate a form of fireplace. It's not an open fireplace, but with the help of the team from Calora, I have an inbuilt solution that is going to keep this room and the rest of the house toasty for the coldest winters to come. I chose to install an inbuilt system because 1, I didn't want the mess of an open fire. 2, I wanted the beautiful feeling of being able to see fire. And 3, the ease of insulation into an existing chimney, which meant that I didn't have to go about repairing the really old chimney, was just a bonus. What would I have changed in this space? The one thing I would have changed in this space is I would have been ultra prepared, and I would have ordered my rug 7 months ago, pre-COVID, which would have meant that it arrived. Instead, I've had to make do with one that I had. It's not perfect, which upsets me a little, but it still looks great. Well, that's it. The living room is a wrap. I hope you've really enjoyed the journey of this living room with me and with my team. It's certainly been one with lots of ups and lots of downs. The next stop is the design studio, and then we have some exciting times ahead of us when we start phase 2 of Carrington House. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching this episode of my 1880s house restoration. If you'd like to know more about Carrington House, see other rooms we've done or will be doing, check out the products that we've used, our trade and supplier team, as well as get all the behind the scenes footage and all the specifications, colours and finishes I've chosen for every space, then head on over to my website, naomifindlay.com/Carrington House, and everything you need will be right there.